Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
As a leader, when you are in a high pressure situation where you must make a decision, how often do you listen to your intuition? Or do you look for external validation? And what I call dial a friend, where you just start asking people, what do you think I should do? Well, what do you think I should do? We're going to be talking about this today on A Woman's Prerogative. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am joined by the star of our show, Mariska, who is a day away and a dollar smarter. Let's welcome her to the program. How are you today?
Good. I am good, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm very excited to jump into this topic today with you.
Absolutely. Well, Mariska, you work with leaders. You have extensive experience. You've got a number of certifications. So what does high stakes leadership mean to you?
Well, high stakes leadership typically is any type of leadership where it's going to make an impact not only to you, the person, but also to a whole bunch of other people around you. And that, in all honesty, is all leadership. So whenever, I think for me, it's especially more so when the impact can potentially be negative. I mean, we all want to have positive impact all of the time, and it's not always possible. So it gets to be high stakes, even more so when we are in a situation where potentially things can go bad really badly. I would say that would classify as high stakes. How about you, Dr. Jacalyn? What would you classify as high stakes leadership?
I think it's where the outcome can have a severe repercussion on a number of people. And it can even be in politics, right? We have leaders of our countries. We have leaders of our businesses. We are leaders in our community. We're leaders on this platform, leaders in our home. And one of the things I think is so interesting to think about is when stress and pressure starts to impact our decision-making process. And many times we do not listen to our intuition. And I believe part of this is because we don't trust ourselves, or we are so highly emotional that we are not really bearing witness to the signals that we're getting. What are your thoughts about this?
I tend to agree with that. I think especially there's nothing wrong with having the emotions, being with the emotions, and understanding that it's trying to give us feedback in some way, shape, or form. It's trying to tell us something. If we are scared, if we are fearful, if we are going into a space of anxiety, it is our system trying to go protect, protect, protect. And we can go protect, protect, protect by rolling into a ball or running away, which may or may not necessarily be the thing that's required. I mean, do you have a saber-toothed tiger on the porch at the moment looking at you going, oh, you look yum? Or is this something else that's happening that our system is responding to like it would with the saber-toothed tiger? So understanding what it is that our emotional state is trying to tell us, because one of the conversations I had just a little bit earlier today actually was around, we can, whatever the thing is that we are experiencing, and it doesn't matter what the thing is that we are experiencing, we can experience it from a low vibrational state where we stay in the fear and where we stay in this debilitating space for ourselves. Or we can transmute that and move into a high vibrational space where we actually have more capacity, where we are more creative, where we can think different about the thing. Would it necessarily change the thing that happens? Might not, but the experience is different. What's your thoughts on that, Dr. Jacalyn?
I tend to agree with you. I think one aspect of this that we haven't looked at yet, because the show just started, is for people who actually thrive when they are in a high stakes leadership role. There are people who do extremely well in making decisions under pressure. And some people look at, is it probable that this outcome is going to take place versus is it possible?
Mm-hmm.
So I think when we look at those two things, and I have a perfect example I just was reviewing with a friend the other day. In the United States, I don't know if you have this there, but in the United States, we have some places, some states where you cannot turn, if you're driving, there's no turn on red. So you see a red stoplight, traffic light, there's no turn on red. And typically there's a sign, no turn on red. But in certain places in the country, you can turn on red. So if you happen to be someone driving or you're going from state to state, it could be rather confusing. But if you are at an intersection and there is a red light and there is a sign, no turn on red, sometimes people will turn on red anyway because they think, what is the probability of me getting a ticket? Which is kind of interesting because they have a camera there. So if the camera captures you, one would think that you are going to get a ticket. So if we look at probability versus possibility, and then we put this into a leadership framework, leaders might be making decisions thinking, well, how likely is the outcome that's going to be completely disastrous?
And also, what is their definition, their perception of complete disaster?
Right? Excellent.
When does that become completely disastrous? Is it when there's reputational damage? Is it when the company doesn't exist anymore? Well, that would definitely be completely disastrous, but it might not. It might not. I mean, if it is a place that isn't bringing a lot of goodness into the world to start off with, might not be so bad. So what is our definition of completely disastrous? And it's almost what frame of mind do we have when we are making those decisions? Interestingly enough, I'm reading it's a novel, so it's not a self-help book or a leadership type of book. It's just a normal novel. And yet in those, you still get wisdom. So the book that I'm reading, this person, one of the characters, are exploring because they come from a different place into this new place. They are continuously asking questions on, well, have you thought about this? How does this work? I do not agree with that. And having that character do this continuously also make us as readers think about, well, what is that for me in any case, in my world, how does that look like? In my environment, how does that show up? How do people think about the consequences? Yes, likelihood. Yes, probability, right? So anything is probable. It might just be a little bit unlikely. Do we want to land on the sun? Well, it might be possible. I don't know. We haven't tried. Nobody wanted to before. Is it likely at the moment? No, it's not. We're not going to do that. Whereas other things, like you mentioned with the traffic light, well, you got to get a ticket. There's a camera. How much do you want to go for the it is full option?
Well, guess what? In addition to that, and by the way, do you have no turn on red in Australia?
We have a no U-turn sign. And for red, you can never do anything. If you get red, you stop. You don't have the option of turning on red. If you have an option to turn, there would be a little arrow to tell you so.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to know that. So if I'm ever driving in Australia, then I'll know.
Yeah, they don't try to confuse you.
So let's go back to this concept of high stakes leadership. So someone who's in the role of a high stakes leader would hopefully be someone who likes to deal with pressure, knows how to deal with pressure, is really good under pressure. I know for myself, I work really well when I have a deadline. So for example, if I'm writing a book and I know, like I have a book that's coming out in September and I've only started it partly. So probably in the next 2 weeks, I'll be completely psycho getting on the book. So some people are better under pressure than other people. But the question remains, how often do we tap into our intuition as opposed to lessons in history? So for example, we could look at historically, what is the probability of XYZ happening if we make this decision? If we lead our team in this direction and we look at other organizations that have done this, what was the outcome? And we could start doing some triangulations about data and looking at the various data points and saying to ourselves, okay, if I lead our team in this direction, the likelihood of this disaster occurring based on analysis of other organizations is this. But the one thing that I think is really key is sometimes there are small nuances that are very different from situation to situation, and they might rear their head and have more of an impact. What do you think?
I absolutely agree.
Yay.
The data is literally only an indication. It's an indication. It is not a guarantee. And I think people forget that. It's like, well, this is data that you have, not even in your own system. It's in a different system, right? So it gives us an idea of how it might look, but it doesn't guarantee it will look this way. It's just an indication. In your own system, you might have other indications that might be contrary to the ones that you have in that system that you don't even look at. Or as you were talking, the other thing that popped up for me was COVID. Nobody's ever seen that before. Well, technically we have with the Black Plague way back when, which most people forgot about. And it wasn't globally a problem necessarily. COVID, first time ever, global problem. What did we do? Well, we didn't know what to do. So we tried stuff. And some people did this and some people did that. And depending on the place that you were, it would have looked quite different, even when you had the exact same strategy. So I would go for, yes, data, good. And remember, it's an indication. What does your gut tell you? So to go into the body's a wonderful thing. It has a brain, which we tend to overuse, and we forget about the rest. The rest might give us an indication of there's something happening that this makes more sense than that. So, Dr. Jacalyn, when you think about high stakes leadership and using your intuition in different stages or times in your life, how has that shown up? Well,
I want to just tap into something that you mentioned. You alluded to that fear factor. And I would like to think that people who have signed up, raised their hand to say, yes, I will be in this high stakes leadership position, that they are not making decisions based on fear. Sometimes people will say, I have a gut feeling, and they'll move forward with whatever that is. And I do that myself, actually. I like to do a lot of research, but the way I used to make decisions before I was a business owner versus today and how I make decisions is completely different. And a lot of what I do is I listen to my gut instinct, or I listen to my intuition. But once we start being guided by fear and making decisions by fear, we probably will see some type of disaster that is going to take place. And I know myself that when I have not listened to my intuition, that the outcome was not something that I desired. But I don't think that we trust ourselves. So Mariska, we all get into situations, which are not ideal. Maybe things that we didn't want to happen, but we learned from them. And we take those learnings and then we apply it to whatever it is. So for someone who's never been through anything in their life, I'd rather have someone who has, because they have developed those skills to be able to work under pressure and to reinvent themselves. So if you were doing hiring and you were looking to fill a position of maybe a chief technology officer or a CRO or somebody who was maybe right below the C level, how interested in their situations where they were in a lot of stress or things didn't go their way and how they handled it versus being in situations where everything went their way?
Well, I would rather want to know more about what didn't work and what you learned from it, right? And to me, even just having that conversation would give me an indication whether you are open to learning from whatever mistake you make. Because in all honesty, today in work, in life in general, everything is up in the air. There's so much things that we don't have certainty on. It's not even funny. So I don't want a person to go, I have all the answers, because I'm calling bullshit. You don't.
YouTube flag us. No, I'm kidding.
You don't. It is absolute crap. You do not have all the answers. None of us do. We make it up as we go. So that's not the person that I'm looking for. I am not looking for the person that go, yeah, I have got all the answers. We might think we have a lot of answers, and you may have a lot of answers. You may be an expert in whatever it is that you do. You might have got really deep knowledge in whatever you do. And if we throw something that's just a little bit weird, you might be out of your depth too. So it's not about having the answers. It's about your ability to be able to figure things out. That's what I would be looking for, is how well can you figure things out with the knowledge that you have? And then going, okay, so does this feel, going back to that intuition, does this feel sound? Does this feel like I am grounded in where I'm going or the thinking that I have? I am not saying that it's going to be perfect, and I'm not saying that it's going to be correct. What I am asking for, the little thing that I'm asking for, is, did you use the good thing that you have at the top that we have a tendency to overuse a lot, and actually think for yourself and work out what this might look like and how this might impact the likelihoods, the possibilities, what's happening. And if we are in a state of fear, as you mentioned before, Dr. Jacalyn, we're not getting there. We're not. We are basically doing this with ourselves if we're in that space, because we can't be creative.
Agreed. So how do we, Mariska, tap into our intuition? And is the intuition the same thing as that feeling of the butterflies? You know that feeling in your side, inside of you, you have butterflies. I don't know. To me, it could be a subtle voice or a subtle nuance almost guiding you to go in a certain direction. And when you don't go in that direction, you have that feeling, you know what? I knew I should have listened to my intuition. Have you ever had that?
Oh, loads.
So many times. And so I think as we get more experienced in life, we really do tap into our intuition. But there is still that pull for external validation. And many people are looking at that. So if you look at someone, and I'm generalizing, of course, because I don't have any data points here with me, but someone who's in a middle management position, they might be looking for external validation because they're hoping to get a bonus. They're hoping to get a promotion. But if you already are at the top of the food chain, you're making decisions like this probably on a regular basis. You may be making more decisions that are really high stress, high impact than you are otherwise, because the people who report to you, they're making the day-to-day, somewhat mundane, kind of transactional types of decisions. So what are some indications in your experience when someone is getting some type of message from their intuition? That's not the same thing as getting a message from beyond, right? Going to someone who is speaking to the dead or doing tarot cards. But when you are getting a message from your intuition, what does that feel like, or what are the signs?
Well, one thing that I've learned just for myself is it's always helpful to test it out, right? And the place that I love testing and playing with it the most is in low stakes situations, because the better I understand what to listen for and how it actually works for me, the easier it becomes to listen for it. Because the one thing that I have noticed about intuition, and I don't know about you, Dr. Jacalyn, but mine does not yell. It very rarely goes, how are you doing? It doesn't do that. It's a very silent whisper. It's a tap on the shoulder going, really? It is very subtle. So if I don't know how to listen to that subtleness, I'm so going to miss it. It's not even funny. And there's a lot of times where it might be a bit nagging. So I have found the closest that it comes to a yell is a nag. So I have this nagging feeling that don't go down that street. Don't do this thing. Move the pot. You're going to bump the pot. Move the pot. And if I don't do that, or I don't adjust the bag or do whatever the thing is, guess what? A mess might occur, right? So it's that understanding what to listen for, I have found for me, is the biggest thing. And hey, don't think that I'm always listening, because I really am not.
Well, you're human. I mean, you're human. I think that's natural. But something I think as an extension of what we're talking about today is we've heard situations where people missed a flight. They were going to catch a flight somewhere and they missed it. And then that flight crashed. There was some kind of disaster. And so I also wonder if there's situational awareness where situations are basically in alignment with intuition. You're not supposed to be on this flight today. Sometimes whatever it is that we're trying to do, we get a door, we get a stop sign, and we think to ourselves, okay, but I've got to catch the flight. What am I going to do? But yet we weren't meant to be on that flight because that flight was doomed and it wasn't our time. Now, not everyone believes that. And I think the interesting thing as an extension of that is, how do we know in life when we're going down the wrong path? So we continue on, and we are getting red flags. We are getting doors closed in our face. We are getting not interested. How do we know we don't need to be persistent versus this is an instant intuition based on situational awareness that we're not supposed to be doing something. And if you have the answer to that, my friend, I'm flying over to Australia to give you a very big hug.
I'm not sure that there's anybody, most probably, that has an answer to this. This is the closest that I have found for myself that I can get to an answer to this is tapping into the energetic feeling of the thing, right? So for me, and again, going back to understanding our intuition, we need to be able to understand energetically how this thing actually presents itself to us. A while back, me and you were busy on a show, and my PC decided to do all sorts of weird things. Now, the message that I got from that is, I need to slow down. So that's exactly what I did. I restarted my PC, I slowed down, I took a couple of breaths, and I came back, and it worked for the rest of the show, lo and behold. So it's, to me, the understanding what the energy is that we might need to employ in that moment. And if something isn't working, it might not be that we should be stopping to be persistent, but it might be trying to tell us to just at that moment take a breath and zoom out a bit, right? Look at the thing, look at where you are, look at what you have learned from the things that has failed up to this point. Is it still in alignment with where you are trying to go? It's asking us to just step back and have a bit of a revision of what's happening. That's it. It's not telling you to stop completely, revise. And if you then revised and in your system, it's like, no, I still need to go on, but I'm going to do this different, right? I'm going to approach this in a different way. That's all it needed you to do. But beating your head on the same wall continuously, I don't know. There's a saying about that being insanity.
Yes, it is. Yes, there is. So I want to take this to a completely different level. And I want to just share an actual situation where there was a high stakes situation and what actually came about. So there is a company that owns mines, M-I-N-E, mines, in different parts of the world. And one of the mines collapsed. It was in the news not that long ago. And a number of people were killed. People were injured. And so I was having a conversation about this with someone in the business world who actually teaches people about high stakes leadership. And I said that, it was absolutely horrific that all these lives were lost. And the person, presumably more intelligent than I am, said, do you think this CEO actually cares about that? And I said, well, I would certainly think so. And the person said, well, you would not be a good CEO. You would not make it in high stakes leadership because the company still has to go on. They still have to find a way to mine whatever the commodity is that they are supposed to be mining. And they still have shareholders they have to answer to. So it's sort of a short boo-hoo, we're sad for that loss. And now, how are we moving on? So I know for me, I wouldn't be very good in that situation because I would think about all the people who lost their lives and all their families and how they were going to cope and all of those various things. But I would imagine if you are the executive team running that business, that you have to put aside your emotions and figure out what is the next step. So I don't think just anyone can step into that role. You have to have a certain mindset and perspective. That doesn't mean that you don't care, that you're void of feelings. It means that you've been hired to do a job that requires you to put those feelings aside and find the solution.
To your point, Dr. Jacalyn, I wonder, it's not so much a not caring about the people that died, right? I mean, yes, it is sad that they died, and no, we don't want them to die. And that's most probably why they put a whole bunch of different safety regulations and stuff in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. It's also about looking after the people that's still there. And to me, if I think about if I were to be in the CEO's position, would it affect me that the people died? Yes, of course it would. Would I stop the business because of it? No, I won't be able to, because it will affect a whole bunch of people's lives that we are employing, which I don't want to be doing either. But it doesn't mean that I cannot go to the families that lost their loved ones and still be empathetic and in mourning with them. So, and I think sometimes in business, we forget the human element of business. It's like, no, but we have stakeholders to answer to, and we have this and we have that. Yes, we do. And I'm not saying we don't have all of that. We do have all of that. But it doesn't mean that you need to become a heartless idiot because of it. You can still be human. You can still have compassion for what these other people are going through. And that is part of your leadership. It's not a separate piece of it. It is included in it. Your decisions make a difference to lives, not just the people that died, but also those that gets left behind. Also the others in your employ. All of them are under your care. Your stewardship is part of that. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Would anybody be able to do it? Most probably not. There's a lot of people that would only focus on one end and not the other end. And that's where great leaders stand out from those that's not necessarily so great and sit in the boardroom and move pieces around because it benefits the company's bottom line and they don't look at anything else. Environment, human capital, anything other than just their bottom line and what they can give to stakeholders. So if that's your view, honestly, I don't want to work in your company. That's me. That's not necessarily for everybody. And unfortunately, at the moment in our world, we have more companies like that than not. And my plea, as is yours for peace, Dr. Jacalyn, mine is, can we change that? As a society, can we bring more holisticness into everything we do and not just some?
Well, I think also it's a word you use all the time, humanness, bringing humanness into it. And in the example that I gave, let's not forget that there might be some culpability on the part of the people who own the mine, the people who own the company. And so I think when a person moves into a high stakes leadership position, even as a business owner, I mean, things can happen that you would never imagine in a million years. How do you show up? How do you react? So if you are coming from a position of fear, that outcome is going to look very different because people are watching. The people in your company are watching. The stakeholders are watching. People want to see, does this person have what it takes to overcome this type of adversity and lead the ship, lead the team? Because to me, when you've fallen down and you can't get back up again, that says one thing versus you getting up and saying, you know what, you're right. I did fall. You watched it. But now look at me. I'm going to take what I learned. So I'm not going to fall like that again. I might fall in a different way. And I'm going to move to an even higher level. To me, that's sexy. That's something that I like to see. And so as we are looking at the role of intuition in high stakes leadership, Mariska, my dear friend in Australia, how would you sum this topic up for our audience?
Well, that's the big one to sum up, Dr. Jacalyn. I think for me, intuition and high stakes leadership, one, understand how to listen to yours. right? That would be the very first thing to be able to do, is actually listening to your intuition, especially and most so when it is under very high pressure situations. That's when you need it the most. Now, we don't just go like this and listen to it. You need to cultivate it. So be sure to do that when the stakes aren't so high, so that you can use it when it is high. And I think that, to me, would be the summing up of this episode, if there was a summing up of it. Cultivating that so that when you are in your high stakes times, you can use it and bring as much humanness into it as you can possibly bring into it. The other people might be just as nervous, scared, frightened in a state as you are, and they're looking to you. That's why you are the leader. So remember that, and they will take their cues from you. So the better you can listen to your intuition, the better they might be at listening to theirs too.
Beautiful summary. Thank you. Who would you like to contact you? And what does an engagement with you look like?
So who I would like to contact me, if you are within a leadership position, either moving into leadership or moving up in your leadership space, you are more than welcome to contact me. And this, of course, is not necessarily only when you are in a corporation, right? We are leaders in a whole variety of different places and spaces in life. So anywhere where you are moving into a leadership position or space, or even your own business potentially. So that's the who. And the what does a engagement with me look like? Well, it depends on what it is that you would like to work on. So the first thing that we would do is we will have a discovery call and explore what all those options are that might be in front of you, and what's the likelihoods and what's the possibilities, so that we have a bit of a clearer view as to what's going on in your world and where it is that you want to focus that would give you the biggest outcome and potential. And then we work from there. So depending on what that is, we will come up with something that would work for you in your situation. And of course, if you are looking at how to get in contact with me and a little bit more about the services that I provide, you can find them on my website. So my website is journey2discover.com, JOURNEY, 2 discover, DISCOVER.com. My email address is Mariska, MARISKA, at journey2 or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, nice and easy. If you have this visual at the moment, you can see my LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, Mariska D might be the one that you would be seeing with a bookshelf in my background there as a indication for that is me. And you are more than welcome to send me a message on LinkedIn, and we can start our conversation and set up a call so that we can find out how to bring more of your potential into life and more humanness into your spaces and places.
The word of the day is humanness. Humanness. Thank you. Well, Mariska, it is a glorious Friday where you are, and I know it's the beginning of the weekend there in Australia. I hope you have a beautiful time, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Indeed, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
As we close up this show, I had an interesting conversation today with someone. And it's basically in reference to the fact that we have so much information. If you think about how we can access information, it's overwhelming sometimes. And now with all of our little chat AI friends, we have even more information. But yet, our ability to take action remains the same. We are typically stuck and not making any decisions to move forward. However, what are we doing? Complaining complaining because nothing has changed, and we wonder why. We have to take accountability. And so, as a selfish plug for my new book, because why not? I'm here. I want to just share with you, my new book is called Stop: Why Knowing Isn't Enough. We have so much information, but we don't actually do anything with it. It's almost like you have all these ingredients and you put them into a bowl and you just mix them around, but you never actually have a finished product. So I'd like you to stop wasting your own time and actually think about all the things that you already know, whether it's about your health, whether it's about relationships. I actually today saw a very interesting article. I'm going to be doing a show on it about the 5 red flags that your relationship is headed for the old proverbial toilet. And when I read them, I thought, you know what? I've heard some of these before in the past, but yet oblivious to it. So typically we are oblivious to things, even though we have all the information, because we do not want to face it. Because if we do, that would require us taking action. So if any of this is resonating with you, please consider ordering a copy of my new book, which is coming out in September. Let's have a look.
Every day, we wake up knowing what we should do. We know we should take better care of ourselves. We know we should have the difficult conversation. We know we should stop making excuses. We know we should invest in our future. We also know we should take the first step. So why don't we? It's not because we aren't smart enough. It's not because we don't have enough information. And it's certainly not because we don't care. We live in a world overflowing with knowledge. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, experts, even artificial intelligence. We have more access to information than any generation before us. Yet so many of us are still waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting until tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and before you know it, another opportunity has passed us by. The truth is, knowing has never been the finish line. It's only the starting line. Our lives don't change because we know more. Our businesses don't grow because we know more. Our relationships don't improve because we know more. And our health doesn't transform because we know more. Everything changes when we act. When we choose courage over comfort, progress over perfection, action over intention. The question isn't, what else do we need to know? The question is, what are we going to do with what we already know? Stop. Why Knowing Isn't Enough by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Because knowing opens the door. Action changes your life. Available September 2026.
People are searching for experts every day. Are they finding you, or are they finding someone else? Every day, professionals are building authority through media. We've already built the platform. USA Global TV and Radio. Over 14,000 shows streamed to over 60 countries. This isn't about becoming famous. It's about leverage, visibility, credibility, opportunity. One interview, one conversation, one show, repurposed into content, connection, and business growth. Most people assume hosting a TV show requires a studio, a production team, and a massive budget. Our television packages begin at $1,500 US per month. Professional production, global distribution, replay visibility, built for voices with something to say. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and if this resonates with you, we should talk. USA Global TV and Radio, all rights reserved. Contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.